Aha! A very, very good evening and a warm welcome
Well,
to Two Full Tossers with myself, Dan Nicholl, and Alan Committie, brought to you this week by the Jeremy Frederick Center for Bikram Yoga, which is a venue we attend on a regular basis, and I think we find it refreshing of the soul, Mr. Committie.
we do, sir. We mangle and intertwine ourselves in only a way that Mr. Jeremy Fredericks will allow. And it's a deep, I think it's food for our soul, isn't it? I miss him, and a big shout out to him. I'm sure he's watching. He's not watching.
No, because nobody is really, but that will not stop us from having a show which this evening has all sorts of topics and a very, 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 very special guest about who I'm much excited, and not as excited as he is, but still very excited nonetheless. Before we get into the week's news, and there is much news to discuss, the real reason everybody watches this show is to find out, Alan Committie, which gem from the history pages of cricket you have picked to preview this week as Alan's Lost Legend.
So let's just take a picture. I'm just going to show the picture for now, and then we're going to do the Lost Legend in a little bit. So there we go. That's the person we're going to be talking about. If you're watching this, good luck to you, and thank you for joining us. Do you recognize this gentleman? I can give you a slight clue. He played for Nicholl somewhere in the 1980s, and we'll be talking about him a little later as one of our lost legends. So there's your photo clue for now. It's a pleasure. We'll talk about him in the most delightful terms a little later in the show.
I have a sneaking suspicion he might have been my Uncle Martin's electrician at one point in Plumstead
Yes.
in the mid-1980s.
He was multi-skilled. He crossed many genres and oeuvres, and it's quite possible that he helped with your current problems and problems of the past.
All right, we'll find out who that is. If you have an idea, pop it into the comments. If you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, pop it in and let us know who you think the lost legend is. Let's get straight into the week. And there is a reason, Alan Committie, and you will have picked this up instantly, that I'm wearing my Richie Benaud jacket. And who doesn't have a Richie Benaud jacket? I have a selection in, as is appropriate, the white, the off-white, the cream, the beige, and the ivory. This is normally the white, but it hasn't been washed for a while, so it's now slightly off-white. And I wear it because a Richie Benaud, I feel, would be looking down at us, shaking his head, not saying too much because he never did, but he would be deeply, deeply disappointed in his fellow countrymen and their treatment of poor South Africa.
It's outrageous. It's made me incandescent, and that's not a word I was expecting to use on a Monday night, but it's that kind of rage that I'm feeling. I'm upset. I've been gnashing my teeth all weekend. The demands of Cricket Australia and what they needed and wanted before they would come and travel to South Africa, all of which we bended over backwards, forwards, sideways, and inside out, as if we were doing that yoga class for Mr. Jeremy Fredericks. And did they come? Did they? No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. In fact, we take these things very seriously, Alan and I do, and we've done our research. And by that, I mean, obviously, we've been on Facebook and we have discovered a document. I think we can show this very document right now. It's on an official letterhead from Cricket Australia. There we go. There's their official letterhead. And those are the points that they made. Some of them, they sent these through to Graham Smith. Now, you might think that that has been written by one of Graham Smith's many children, but no, that is the Chief Executive Officer of Cricket Australia. And some of these things, and I think we can take that off now. It makes me sick just looking at it. But let's go through. At the airport, when they arrived, once they'd said which airport they wanted and how they'd arrive, there had to be a full-size portrait of David Boone, which is still not very big. It's mostly moustache, but a full-size portrait of David Boone sitting at the airport, a la Robert Mugabe at Harare International for many years, that sort of portrait. And we said we'd do it. We went out and we got it. We arranged it. And that wasn't good enough.
Not good enough at all. Very, very sad. Then they said, well, that's only one of the requirements. Now they also want a picture of Shane Warne, a photograph of Shane Warne looking attractive. Well, where do you find a picture like that? But we scoured, apparently Cricket South Africa scoured the internet with, of course, no connectivity because they can't afford a Cricket South Africa, but they found a picture of Shane Warne in every hotel room, and each player had to have its own hotel spread out across South Africa, and not just stay in the hotel, they were given the hotel in perpetuity, and they had to have a picture of Shane Warne in each of the rooms.
And in some of them on the ceiling between two mirrors, which we don't ask questions why. This was their request in a hotel which had organic dolphins in the swimming pool. Again, crazy request. But what did Cricket South Africa do? They said, yes, of course. Graham Smith sorted it out. It's all done. And still, that was not good enough. So then they came up with the music. And this cuts me deep, because normally we would expect at all big South African cricket events, it's very simple. You arrive, and what do you listen to? You hear the music of Kurt Darren. That's what we expect. It's what we've come to know and love. But no, Australia wouldn't have that.
No. Well, first of all, they said a Loslapi might have COVID on it, so they couldn't. They weren't allowed Loslapi. They said we must have indigenous Australian music, didn't they? And well, what was the bands that they required? I think they said
I think it was Kylie Minogue and Indecent Obsession, who interestingly sold 8 albums in Australia and 800,000 on tape cassette in Pietermaritzburg in the early 1990s. And those were the two. And just the thought, they did say that they didn't need Loslapi because they had Labo Schachni, but that's purely beside the point. To have Kylie and Indecent Obsession instead of Kurt Darren cuts me deeply. And then a crazy request, Alan, about a driver.
Well, they said all the bus drivers that would look after them throughout their tour had to look like Rolf Harris, the defamed artist and entertainer. And so that in itself was just ridiculous. But again, Cricket South Africa acquiesced. That's a word that they didn't even know what it meant. Graham Smith has no idea what the word got means, but he got it. He got bus drivers who looked like Rolf Harris. 2 little boys had 2 little toys, each with a wooden horse. And that's how they would bring the cricketers to the ground. And so they've got all of these. And did they come? Dan, I ask you again, did Cricket South Africa, having kowtowed to all of that, were they granted the pleasure of Cricket Australia's presence? Were they? No. No, they weren't.
Alan, they were not.
Sad days.
I can say no more. I merely look upwards and hope that the spirit of Richie Benno can somehow guide us through these troubled times. I can talk no more about it. This is hurting me too much. So let's find a topic which we can talk about happily. I
was going to talk about BBL because the final happened this week, the BBL final over the weekend. But of course, it didn't happen because they wouldn't allow the Australians to play in Australia. Cricket Australia said even the Australians can't play in Australia, so they cancelled the BBL final as well. So that's not happened. Then I thought, well, maybe we could tune into some of the T20. I think there's a T10 competition happening. Every time I try and tune into it, it's over. It's so short that every time I click, it's done. It's on. And I think Chris Gale scored 86,000 runs off 18 deliveries the other day, but it doesn't matter because it was over so quickly you wouldn't know.
Although there are other ideas. In fact, I believe they're looking at possibly the T5 and then maybe the T3, and then for our Pakistani commentators of late, just the T. We'll just have T. We don't need any numbers, just as long as there's T, and we can talk about it all day long.
Perfect, absolutely perfect.
All right, let's talk about Pakistan, because that's been the one thing to put smiles on faces of South Africa. South Africa and Shabneen Ismail and our South African women leading South Africa to a great victory over Pakistan.
A thrashing. I think we can say thrashing. I don't think that's going too far. A fine victory and representing our country, and just a brilliant. We only have fond memories of South African cricket teams in Pakistan recently, so that's brilliant, and they've really led the way. And there's nothing else. I don't think there's anything else to talk about in terms of.
That's South Africa, Pakistan. That's the extent of everything I'm aware of, certainly. And I can't think of anything else really we want to talk about, Alan.
No, I think that's fine. I don't want to talk about. No, it's fine. I'm not going to talk about. I won't. I just want to say something quickly. Just quick. In fact, I'll tell you how quickly I want to talk about it. I'm going to talk about this about as quickly as Quinton de Kock's innings was this morning. Having built up the hope, we had to sit and watch our cricket captain give a cricket stroke. It was a shot that could only be likened to the inefficiency of the current quarantine virus vaccine that has been given to us. That is how ineffective that shot was. And it makes me very irritated. I understand he was under pressure, but there was some really strange cricket that happened this morning, and I'm trying not to be angry, and I don't want to talk about it. So let's pretend I didn't even talk about it. I didn't.
All right, we'll ignore it entirely, and we have not just the women's series to celebrate, but we also have an absolutely fabulous cricket guest joining us.
I'm going to tell you what it is. Here's the problem. John Cleese, in a movie called Clockwise, said, and at this point in the movie, he played a headmaster. Have you seen the movie?
I hope you have. Many years ago, I have indeed.
Tremendous film. And he starts the movie as a very polite and well-organized headmaster, and through a series of unfortunate and terrible events, 3/4 of the way through the movie, his suit is torn, he's battered and bruised, his money has been stolen from him, his car has been taken from him, he's been chased by Interpol and the cops throughout the land, his wife wants to divorce him, he's in the worst state, and he finds himself in a gutter, and he gets out, and he's torn, he's in a monk's, I don't want to talk about it, but he's in a monk's outfit, and he's trying to get a lift, he's desperate to get to a teacher's conference, and a sports car pulls up and stops about 100 meters away from him, and he runs towards it. He says, thank you, thank you. And as he gets to it, the car accelerates away, splashing mud all over him, and he falls over backwards into a gutter. And he gets up and he looks to the heavens and he says, God, it's not the despair, it's the hope. It's the hope that gets me. And that is my final word on Pakistan and the Proteas. I won't say anything.
Yes, I suspect that's not true, and we'll hear plenty more from Alan on it, but we'll preempt it for now because we've got a wonderful guest joining us in just a moment, and I'm very, very excited to have him on. Very quickly, though, a word on England and their captain and the continuing mystery. Now, I know we're not the first people to raise this. Many people have raised this before, but it still is an issue that irks me. Has anybody ever seen Joe Root and Ellen DeGeneres together at the same time?
Oh, look at that. That is incredible. I mean, that is, which one is, I don't even know which one's which.
Well, I actually think that it's Joe Root on the left and that Ellen DeGeneres is wearing a shirt that an England cricketer gave her after she went to watch the game. That's my guess.
I think you're probably right. Amazing.
Oh dear. All right. So England, India tomorrow. England left it far too late to declare, but they might still win it tomorrow. And as usual, we'd like England to lose by a lot, but India to just win. I'm not sure that will happen tomorrow. We will be watching it. We do want to go on to our superstar guest. Just quickly though, let's find out. Let's check it all. We've had no guesses so far, which means it's clearly a very difficult one. Let's go back and find out exactly who Alan's lost legend is this week.
So our lost legend was a leg spinner from Nicholl, and his name was Richard McGlashan. Now, I want to come back to my screen if I can, because I'm going to just show you, McGlashan was a kind of precursor to our very own Paul Khocha Adams, in that Richard McGlashan would hold the ball with both hands, start at the top of his run-up, and then circle his arms, and then out the back, and then kind of his hands would kind of be in a blender. He looked like an octopus that had been put into a reverse cycle of a washing machine, and the washing machine put on a turntable that was going backwards, playing the hits of Queen, but at 33 1/3 on a different turntable. And the problem with him was that you never knew where the ball would come out. Sometimes it was from a hand, sometimes it spurted out of an ear, sometimes it come out of his mouth. That was the spitball that was finally made illegal in Natal in the mid-90s. And he would get his wickets in that way. Richard McGlashan was a childhood hero because of all of this. He was like the original jazz hands cricketer. I miss him. I will say this, he's no Lee Barnard, but he is our lost legend for this Monday.
There we go. Richard McGlashan, a man whose bowling style looks suspiciously like the dancing style of the man we're about to welcome in. Now, we did initially have a fabulous guest, a guy by the name of Kevin Peterson, KP. But we thought, much like when you're at school, you were a teacher, Alan, you'll remember, if you got an E, you tried to improve to a D you tried to improve to a C, to a B, to an A, and so forth. So we started with a KP. We thought, no, we can do one better. And so we've got a JP. It's JP Duminy is our very special guest this week.
What a man.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
It's JP Duminy. Well, you're smiling and you're happy, and yet inside, I know you're weeping. Weeping at today's result in Pakistan and just wishing that you'd been there to single-handedly win the game for us, as you no doubt would have, JP Duminy.
I'm not sure I would have added anything to that score, boys, but yeah, I think we're all kind of disappointed. We fought really hard in that fourth innings there, and look, it's easy to kind of harp on the negatives, but I think there's a lot of positives to take out of that. I mean, Aiden Markram, Temba Bavuma, Rassie van der Dussen, just the way they fought in the end was, for me, a great positive to take away from a pretty challenging Pakistan tour. So I guess just trying to see the glass half full is always important sometimes.
But what happens if the glass, which is only half full, keeps collapsing?
Why do I get myself into this?
Down, and then it keeps collapsing, and always. And for the last 20 days, mentioned too much collapsing. Why, JP? Why? Tell me.
That's why I commentate, Alan. That's why I commentate. I never have to answer those questions. Why?
Look, you pick up on some positives. Fantastic. Aiden Markram was brilliant. Temba was terrific. Some good batting from JP, but you missed the big one. Now, you'll remember your old teammate, Graham Smith, the father of many, who played a game, I think it was in Sydney. Another
baby. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't.
We'll keep you posted. He got a little bruise on his hand, went out to bat at 11, and he's been dining out on that story ever since. And yet this test, we had George Linder, his arm broke off. They had to staple it back on and then press stick his hand together and then actually nail his fingers back into his hand. Most people, if this was a vet, he would have been put down and there would have been a nice photo on Facebook and remembered fondly, and there would be no more George Linder. And he played on JP Duminy. He should, President Ramaphosa should be giving him a medal. It was immense.
No, it's fantastic. What was the headline? I'm in pain, but I'm playing for my country. So I had the great privilege of captaining George for a couple of years here at the Cobras. And he was one of those characters that no matter the situation, he always wanted the ball, or he bat in hand, he was going to try and do something for the team. So I'm not surprised by that response. A bit dramatic in the explanation of the injury, no doubt, but thank you for that detailed explanation, Dan Nicholl. It certainly will be the headlines tomorrow in the newspaper. But yes, it was great to see him do really well, particularly in the second spinner role. Keshav has obviously done it for a couple of years now, but it's great to see somebody else also stepping up there.
My headline for this morning would be, I'm in pain because of Daryl Cullinan's commentary, but I don't know that would make it in terms of publishing. Would that be published? I don't know.
Oh my goodness!
Let's speaking of commentary now, JP. You'll notice, and I can see there's a look of admiration from behind that rather unfortunate moustache. That you see my Richie Benaud jacket, and you're thinking, gee, I wish I'd worn my Richie Benaud jacket and not the stuff I picked up at the Adidas sale at Access Park last week. It's all right. We all make small mistakes. Some of them while batting, others while on television.
I hope Howie's listening.
Did you have a favorite commentator when you were actually playing? Who was the person you loved listening to when you went back to watch highlights of another 12-ball double 100 against some hapless opposition?
I think there was a few. I mean, the thing about my very first 100 that I scored for South Africa, Mark Nicholas was on air at the time. And, his voice ring plenty when I watched the highlights of that 100. The words were, "You beauty, you superstar," and so I'll always remember that. And I've had the privilege now of working alongside him, and we've actually shared some good stories around that as well. What is that? Mark Nicholas, A Beautiful Game. Okay, lovely. I was about to ask, is that a DVD collection or was it a book collection?
why don't you just keep talking and leave my home out of it? Okay. Because before I know it, you're going to be Instagramming this. I'm surprised you've even kept these answers as long as they have, because I'm sure you need to go on Instagram again. It's been almost a minute if you haven't posted something.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. Another one, just to answer the question then, Bumble. I enjoy Bumble. He's good fun to listen to. And he's actually good fun across all formats. So he has this amazing ability to transition to different formats and kind of add the flavor there. So yeah, those two definitely stand out. But there's a few more, of course. But yeah,
I would imagine in terms of fun and kind of frivolity and naughty games and kind of just a general playfulness, Kepler Wessels.
Next question. What?
Kepler Wessels. I would imagine Kepler Wessels is all about the fun and the joyful play. I see you and Kepler Wessels afterwards, after a commentation, going out on the night and having a couple of shots and just giggling through the night, just telling each other jokes and funny stories.
How do you know it hasn't happened?
I don't know. I guess I'm asking.
Well, I have it on good authority that there have been a couple of occasions where we've actually had both JP Duminy and Kepler Wessels doing body shots off Jeremy Fredericks on a bar table at the end of a big night of cricket. Just picture it if you're watching. Just picture it.
You picture it, exactly.
I was actually wanting to ask Alan, what's the fascination with Jeremy? Because I was listening to the opening and you mentioned him a few times. Is he a good friend of yours?
I'm very, very close. He was best man at my sister's wedding. No, he wasn't. That was Sam. That was Sam Watson. But they're similar. No, I've never met Jeremy. I am a fan. I think his energy is extraordinary, and he's just got a great name for this. His name is funny. Jeremy Fredericks. You just say the name. It's a comedy. It's a joke in itself, I think.
Nicknamed the Rhino.
Exactly, the Rhino.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh dear. JP, we have coming up for you in just a couple of moments a quiz. I can tell you that so far we've got some very good performances, and then we've also got Vernon Philander, who got 1 out of 5, and all 5 of his questions were about Vernon Philander. He got 4 of them wrong, which was hugely embarrassing. We don't want to get you too worked up, but there are dozens of people watching this at the moment, so I'll let you loosen up and prepare a little. But what I will ask you, now that you've left the game of cricket, you've had time to think back over it. What is the very, very, very worst place you've ever had to play cricket?
It was a place in India called Gwalior. So it was, when I say the worst place, it was more just the conditions we stayed. It was pretty challenging in terms of the hotel. I think it was probably a 3-star, and my bedroom window was kind of looking into buildings, and when I opened it, there was like cockroaches and birds flying, and it was a little bit challenging, but we got through it.
Gwalior sounds like a Cape Town kind of slang insult, doesn't it? Yo, Gwalior, don't you come here with your Gwalior. It does, doesn't it? It does. It does have an undertone in terms of.
I can see it on one of those boards for the Daily Die Sun or the Daily Voice when it comes out.
Yes, exactly.
Gwalior.
Jason is Gwalior's in trouble again.
Look, JP, we're a very family-oriented show. Alan and I spend a lot of time looking beyond just the cricketer and looking at the people who support you, who get you through, who are the rocks upon which the foundations of your careers are built and thereupon flourish. And so we thought it would be appropriate to show a photo of your quite dazzlingly beautiful wife, who quite clearly has a thing for handsome men who can play a glorious cover drive. We were just wondering, though, myself and Alan, did you ever think of getting platforms?
In this picture, I had a Achilles injury at the time, and I had a moon boot on, so I kind of had one platform on anyway, but I still couldn't reach it.
Sometimes when you have an argument with her, I would imagine you get quite upset and you look her in the knees and you just tell her, I've had enough. I've had enough and I'm leaving this argument. And then you probably go and hide in a bread basket or something like that, or a bread bin.
I won't even get that far, to be fair. I'll just walk away because I'm never winning those arguments. So
no, but I believe. Yeah,
yes,
I believe.
it's called being married.
Yes, you guys can put up your hands as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh dear. Out of interest, what is on a 0 to 10? What is Mrs. Duminy's cricket knowledge like?
3.
Ooh. Wow.
If it has something to do with me, maybe she can answer it. But other than that, no. If you had asked her who's Faf du Plessis, she'll probably say the scrum off of the Springboks or something like that.
As opposed to the South African cricketer on Instagram who's had all his shirts stolen.
Yes, exactly. He's the one with the Speedo.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right. I think we are ready. We've got a quiz, and while we prepare that quiz for you, Alan's got a very special guest. He needs to go and pick up from the local taxi rank to join. So, Alan, if you want to go and get our special guest for this evening, and we will see you back in a moment. And we have the JP Duminy quiz. And again, absolutely no pressure, but we do have, in the theme of tonight, we have a large black and white photograph of the aforementioned Mr. Fredericks in his swimwear, lounging beside a swimming pool, which would be a nice gift for your wife for Valentine's Day this weekend. But you need to get at least 3 out of 5, JP. So 3 out of 5. Okay. Using maths of a South African standard grade matric level, that's at least 30% that you need to get. So here we go. And it's a picture quiz. So it's nice and easy, no words at all. I've got 5 pictures. I need you to identify the people. And you'll probably pick up on a theme on this rather quickly. But here's our very first picture. And let's see if you have any luck. Do you have any idea who that is?
Wow. Charlie Chaplin. I've got no idea.
I think the guy in question, I think, actually went to school with Skulk Brits, but that's peripheral. That was, and this is where the theme kicks in. That was JP Morgan.
Okay.
The famous banker. So there we go, JP Morgan. I think that might have tipped you in the right direction. Here's your second question, and let's see if you can get this one. Here we go. I'd like to know any idea who that is. And I think you can probably get the first half, but can you get any better than that? Who might that be, do you think?
I think Vernon might beat me on this one. I've got absolutely no idea.
So you really need to brush up on your knowledge of the San Diego Legion rugby team, because that is their South African star, JP du Plessis.
Ah, okay. I see this.
Don't you sporting JPs like have a WhatsApp group?
Unfortunately not. No. Okay, we're going to have to start one after this, I think.
All right. Next question is a bit of a trick question. So here's question number 3. Can you work out who this is, JP Duminy?
JP Potgieter.
You get 100 points for effort. Let's have a look at that photo again very quickly, just to remind you. Look at the color of the jersey and the badge on it. Does that look familiar?
Is that Lions?
Close. It's actually Wales. If I told you it was Wales, any famous Welsh rugby players who might sort of share a name with you?
Sure. No idea.
That is J.P.R. Williams, one of the all-time...
What year did he play?
Again, with Skulk Brits, about the 70s. All right, penultimate question. Here's your second last one for tonight. Do you have any idea who this person might be?
The Duke of something. No, I'm not sure. JP. This looks like a guy from the UK or somewhere, or
All right.
Scottish.
Yeah, not far off, and not far off from the Duke, because he is royalty.
Irish?
He's
Okay.
Ireland. Correct. Ireland is correct. So
Okay.
that is JP McManus, the famous
McManus.
businessman, Manchester United supporter, and racehorse owner. Good friend of Sir Alex Ferguson's and a great golfer. But you got JP and you got JP on the one before, so you got half right for each of those. This is the last one. If you get this right, if you get this one right, you get the photo of Jeremy Fredericks. Right. Trick question. Who's that?
What's the name again?
If you get it wrong, I'm phoning Vernon immediately.
I know this one.
The world in union.
Yes. What's the name? No. Goodness.
Okay. If it's not JP, it must be.
It must be.
Try swapping them around.
Oh, PJ Powers. There we go. Sorry.
All right. 2 out of 5.
I'll take 1.5. So I beat Vern. You gave me one.
All right. We'll put you up on our board of honors. All right. Great. Those are some tough questions, a lot tougher than Vern's, because Vern's are all about Vernon. So well done. 1.5 out of 5. Congratulations. Good effort. And that wins you not just the photograph of Jeremy Fredericks in black and white in his swimwear, lounging behind the swimming pool, but also an audience with a very special guest. He is the Life Vice Chairman of the North Griqualand Scorers and Umpires Association. Please welcome to Two Full Tossers, Meneer Johan van der Walt, who I think is ready to join us. Johan, good evening.
Goeienaand, baie dankie. Thank you so much, Daniel. Beautiful. What a groot eer, what a great egg to be here, to sit in your presence, to talk to the great JP, and on the occasion of your retirement, and to understand why it is you were so great there. You were playing fullback, playing wing, and you scored so many wonderful tries, JP, and we are so proud of you. You know, the people in this country go and say, yeah, JP, yeah, jy is a held, you are a halt. And so you have scored. So I wanted to talk to you, what of you, because you played 69 tests. Don't leave it alone. It's not an obvious joke, but we don't need to go there. And the nice thing about that is you could play either way, couldn't you? 69, it goes both ways. Don't leave, JP. But what is it about your rugby career that you look back on with so much pleasure for you?
Yeah, look, the fact that I had the great privilege of representing my country for 69 occasions is always a great privilege. So that's something that I'll always keep dear to my heart. My teammates, I got to thank my teammates for being there with me throughout the battles, you know, and yeah, we had some fun on the field. You know, there's some tough times, some challenging times to get through, but you know, I always remember the good times.
Jy's kleiner as wat ek onthou. You are smaller than from what I have on remembered. So was that Kiki, Ronaldo. Kyk, daar is jy nou. You look a bit more boof, né? You look more boof.
Yes, boof there.
Yeah, jy's fris gebou, you freshly built. Whereas we look at you now, I don't know what the bloody hell's happened. Obviously, you've lost because you don't have the money anymore now, so you can't afford to eat. It's very, very. But hold on, sorry. Duminy. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm so bloody sorry. Ach, no, apparently you're. Well, why didn't you tell me? You could have told me earlier. No, it's actually doing. Okay, ek is jammer. This is JP Duminy. So not at all an important sportsman. Okay, so that's So are you still playing? Have you stopped? Has he stopped? Okay,
no,
probably.
I stopped.
All right. So they tell me, why wouldn't you in your career? Why did you play the wrong way around? Why wouldn't you play right-handed? You probably would have done better for yourself.
Yeah, look, I tried when I was younger. My dad was trying to get me to play right-handed, but then I didn't score much runs batting right-handed, so I had to swap around. And then fortunately it worked for a little bit. And then, when it got towards the back end of my career, I wasn't good enough anymore, so I had to walk away.
fullback of your career, JP Pieterse. Yeah, that is true. I think that's probably why, because you went through a little patch, didn't you, where you kept getting caught down the leg side. And that's probably because you were remembering how to play like a right-hander.
Yes, there we go. There we go.
We're just using both sides. Again, 69.
Yes.
So, very good.
Yes.
JP, I don't want to take up too much of your time. You're a very important Duminy in the community. And we're just so grateful to give up some time from your preaching on Instagram. And so I've got some questions, Vicky, but they are quick ones. You just choose one or the other. You don't explanate for anything. You just choose the one or the other, the one or the other. Okay. So for you, Coke Zero or Sprite Zero?
Coke Zero.
A full toss or a half tracker?
A full toss.
Obvious. Adam Bacher or Ali Bacher?
Adam.
Really? Ali would be very upset. You're not going to be interviewed by him on that very long program he does, which no one watches. An arm guard or a thigh pad?
A thigh pad.
A thigh pad, yes. Well, for you, the thigh pad would probably come up to your neck, so it's fine. I've seen you play golf. Do you prefer the power of Bryson DeChambeau or the touch of Tiger Woods?
Bryson DeChambeau.
Shampoo, of course. Well, you don't need shampoo. You don't have any hair for that. Do you prefer Rice Krispies or Cocoa Pops?
Rice Krispies.
Rudy Koetsen or Cyril Mitchley?
Rudy Koetsen.
Shame. Is Cyril Mitchley, he's probably still giving someone out. He used to take some. Chester Williams or Brian Abana? This is a tricky one now. Both heroes. Both great. Yes, choose one and upset a whole lot of people.
No, I'm going to choose both.
No, you can't. You can't. Yeah, I done that. Almost my teeth have come out when I called you. You can't. You must choose. Chester. Not even Brian Abana yesterday.
Yes, I'm going with Chester.
Would you prefer to make 88 runs or to take 3 for 11?
88.
Well, both of those are dreams for you. And then finally, Shane Warne or Glenn McGrath, over of a test match. Do you face Shane Warne or do you face Glenn McGrath?
I face Glenn McGrath.
Yeah, that are the right answer. That was a great, so beautiful. I would have preferred talking to JP Pieterse, but this was a close fourth. And so thank you for your time. And good luck with whatever it is that you do. I'm not even quite sure, but I'm sure you're going to do it reasonably well. Send love to your lovely wife. Ek moet gaan. Ek is besig. Ek nie tyd vir jou gemors.
Cheers, brother.
Baie dankie, Johan. Just such a wonderful servant to North Griqualand cricket, and a real honor, JP, for you to spend some time with a man of that stature.
No, awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Just before we go very quickly, because I can already hear your door being knocked upon by Brian Abana, who lives next door, wanting to know why you Chester Williams ahead of him before Brian goes back to make sure that Ryan O'Connor mowed his lawn properly this morning. Now you're doing the commentary. Tell us very quickly a little bit about the JP Duminy Foundation, the charity work you're doing, and that space, which you seem really passionate about.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So, look, it's been a challenging year for not only for us, but for many because of the pandemic. So we haven't had opportunity to get out and actually play cricket. I think that's the obvious one. So we've had to pivot a little bit in terms of our programs. So particularly this year, we're going to be doing quite a few life skills programs and just trying to broaden our horizon in terms of how we interact with the kids. Obviously, we have to maintain social distancing and so forth. So that's what we're currently going to be doing this year. But just an overview of what we do. We run primary school cricket in Mitchell's Plain. And we've been operating for about 6 years now, where we've got 38 out of 54 primary schools on board. So we're operating with over 2,000 kids. So the ultimate goal for us is to try and get all the schools on board and obviously branch out a little bit into the high schools as well. But something that's very exciting, which I'm just going to speak into the universe right now, and this is something that we are extremely passionate about. Our new project on the horizon, our big project, is an indoor cricket facility. that we're hoping to build in the next 2 years in Mitchell's Plain. So we on the path, I guess, of raising funds now, or finding the funds. So we need somewhere between 7 and 8 million to raise to build this indoor facility. And it's something that is a massive dream of ours, because if you think of a Rondebosch Boys High School, for instance, that they've got an indoor facility. So an indoor facility like that in a community as Mitchell's Plain, or any community, will be a massive, massive boost for the community, not only for the building itself, but just to be able to produce and create opportunities to have some good infrastructure for these young kids. So we're extremely proud of that and passionate about that. So hopefully that can come to fruition in the next 2 years.
Well, very, very best of luck with that. Alan and I look forward to coming down, and if we have time, because we're both quite busy, because we're both quite big deals, to maybe officially open it for you, and I might even bring my Richie Bennett jackets just for the occasion.
No, awesome. Thanks, guys.
You, sir, are one of the good guys in the game, and really thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight and allowing us to be silly with you. But yeah, it really is always a pleasure to interact with you. I just want to get your name again properly. It's JP Duminy. Yeah, JP Duminy.
Thanks, Al. Always a pleasure, man, guys. Thank you.
Perfect. JP, thank you so much. JP Duminy, big thank you to Jill Welsh, to Michelle Cavarnos, to Wendy Solomon, all tuning in amongst our, well, actually, it was only them. But big thank you very much to all of them. And yeah, hopefully next week, Alan, we'll be able to get Kevin Peterson on the show. I think that's what we're really looking to do.
Excellent. I can't wait for one. And if anyone, sadly, no Australians are watching this, they're not allowed to. But if anyone can get a copy of the show to an Australian, we'd be very grateful.
On VHS. This has been Two Full Tossers with myself, Dan Nicholl, and Alan Committie, brought to you once again by the Jeremy Frederick Center for Bikram Yoga. It's been a pleasure having you, a pleasure having our special guest, JP Duminy, and we'll see you again at the same time next Monday night. From both of us, goodbye.